Hey everybody, it is Jerad Ruth here with Skogman Realty, and I'm sitting down with Jessica Grieving with Residential Mortgage Network. It's kind of a mouthful.
Yeah, that is.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
To change. So Jessica's a loan officer here in Coralville. Jessica, what areas of Iowa do you service?
So we have offices in Coralville and Cedar Rapids, but we lend anywhere in the state of Iowa.
Okay.
Yeah. Locally owned mortgage banking company.
Gotcha. Sounds good. And you guys write residential,
Yep.
primarily residential loans?
Yep, all residential lending, no commercial lending,
Okay.
single family, condo.
Where are you guys located?
Our office is in Coralville, just south of the Coral Ridge Mall.
Okay.
That's the office location that I'm at.
Today specifically, and we're not going to take a lot of your guys' time today, but today specifically it's relevant to discuss the government shutdown. So there's a partial shutdown currently, if you're not aware. If you're not aware, you're probably living under a rock, but if you are aware of it, it's a partial shutdown right now, and that's affecting a lot of different organizations and a lot of different people. But to talk specifically how this partial shutdown is affecting home loans or certain types of home loans. So Jessica, with the partial shutdown, what's not being affected as far as from loans, and what is being affected? What types of loans?
Okay, so that's a good question, and I'm answering it. Our institution will operate a little bit differently than other institutions too, so it's important to understand it can be different depending on the lender you're working
Okay.
with. So a lot of the loans that we do, FHA, VA, rural development, and conventional. So in general right now, regular conventional loans are not affected by the shutdown.
Okay.
Now, if the shutdown lasts more than 30 days and someone is employed by the government and they don't receive a paycheck, that could become an issue,
Okay.
because generally you need a paycheck stub that is within 30 days of closing. VA loans for veterans with our institution, those are not currently affected because we underwrite them right at our office. So we are not relying necessarily on employees of the government for that program. That's a really important one to note because some institutions are affected by VA loans,
Okay.
by doing VA loans, but with our institution it's not. Same with FHA loans. Those are surprisingly not affected right now because we underwrite them. So with our institution, we can do all the FHA loans, underwriting, everything, approve them. Rural development loans are currently affected.
Okay.
So we can still get an appraisal done and our underwriter can approve it, but there is a step called a conditional commitment that you have to get before you can close on the loan.
Towards the end of the contingency or under contract phase.
Right.
Yep.
So there's a lot, there's about 2 to 3 weeks worth of work that we can do first.
Okay.
But then the local RD office, which is currently shut down, has to issue the conditional commitment.
Okay.
So if I were to take an application today for a rural development loan, we would need to make sure before we could close, they'd have to be up and running again so they can issue that conditional commitment.
Gotcha.
So it's a program that we're still pre-approving. We can still go through the pre-approval process because the automated system we run it through, a lot of those things, all of it we can still use. So we're still talking to borrowers about the program, doing the program, but our institution is just having a backup plan for folks. So if they're pre-approved under rural development, if the shutdown is not done by closing, what's our alternative financing option?
Sure. And there's it depends on the person's situation. Every case is different as far as if they couldn't go RD, figuring out a plan B for them, and that's different for everybody. And Jessica specifically speaking to, again, to clarify to how it goes at Residential Mortgage Network. Like she said, every financial institution, whether it's a bank or a credit union or a mortgage broker, it's different. So we're just speaking from Residential Mortgage Network's point of view. So with the FHA and the VA, one important thing to note is that you guys write those in-house.
Right. Not
everybody does. So at Residential Mortgage Network, those loans currently are not affected by this partial shutdown.
Yeah.
Okay, and back to the rural development loans, what kind of communities in our area here would qualify for the rural development financing?
That's a good question. So it would be anything outside of Iowa City, Coralville, and Cedar Rapids.
Okay.
So North Liberty's eligible, Tiffin, Solon, Williamsburg, all of those are eligible. So lots of loans that are done in those communities with that program.
And I've heard a couple different opinions on the qualifications for a community to get that rural development loan status. is it a population? What controls a community that can get rural development financing versus a community that doesn't get it?
So there's actually a map that's available on the USDA website that identifies that. But in general, it's communities with a population less than 25,000.
Okay.
And there are maximum income limits depending on 1 to 4 person family, 5 or more person family. So those are the different qualifications.
And since we're talking specifically right now about rural development, what are some of the benefits for a borrower who's exploring one of those communities? What are some of the benefits to look into rural development?
That program is very popular, especially when a borrower doesn't want to put money down, because you can get 1 30-year fixed rate mortgage without putting any money down.
Oh, wow.
And the interest rate is typically about 0.5% lower than a regular conventional loan. So a lot of times we compare, even if somebody has up to 10% down, a rural development loan might still be a better option for them because that interest rate is lower.
Okay, sure. So back to the government shutdown. What happens if this continues to go into? I think we're on day 14 right now of a government shutdown. What happens if it goes, another week or so? Does that change what you guys are doing at all?
Not really, because we were sure that every transaction we had in process before the shutdown was fully approved, and we had what we needed from the local rural development office. So we hurried through appraisals, all of that, to get the financing done. So for our institution, we have some closings at the end of January, that if it's not up and running for applications we've taken within the last few days, that might, we might run into an issue. But again, any government employee, if you're running past a 30-day shutdown, could be affected if they're not getting their regular paychecks.
Yeah, regardless of what loan.
Yeah.
Because you need to clear to close, make sure that this borrower is earning and going to be able to pay this mortgage. Somebody mentioned something about what is it, MCC?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Could you elaborate on that? Is the mortgage credit affected by this?
So the mortgage credit certificate, which is a first-time homebuyer tax credit, where the homeowner gets back 50% of their interest up to $2,000 every year they own the home.
Oh, that's great.
That is through a state program, Iowa Finance Authority, so that is currently not affected.
Okay.
So we are still closing with the MCC, which is a program that's just combined with your FHA, VA, rural development, or conventional loan. So that's a good question, because sometimes people are confusing that, but that is not affected.
Yeah, because it seems like a governmental IFA does, but it's something separate from this shutdown. So in the interest of keeping this short, anything else from a government shutdown point of view that you would want the public out there to know or be aware about?
I just think anybody that's already pre-approved or working with somebody other than our institution, if they're being told not to do that program because of the shutdown, or being told they can't close, especially if it's VA or FHA, reach out to our office, reach out to another institution, get a second opinion about that, just since, again, we all operate a little bit differently.
Sure.
And otherwise, we'll be sure to keep you updated. I'll keep you updated so you can keep people, because we're getting updates about it, things that can change, parts of the government that are open, that might help us keep things moving along the way. So.
Thank you. So you guys can follow Jessica on, I believe you guys have a Facebook page, Residential Mortgage Network. Just search for them in your Facebook search bar. But Jessica does a great job of keeping people informed, not only during this government shutdown, but other loan products and other great information for borrowers or prospective borrowers to look into. So thanks for joining us today,
Thanks for having me.
and we'll chat soon.
Great.
All right.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.